Alright, we are on lesson 16-7. I have a very hoarse voice. Today's date is May 1st, and I still am talking over people. I can't yell at you guys. Eder, Hood. Here we go, Fernando, Hood. Alright, today's date, is May 1st, 2019. So today is standard form. I want to try to get this done as fast as possible. Standard form looks like this. It's just a bunch of things added together, which means we now have 3 forms. Who can name the other 2? The third form is standard form. What are the other 2 forms? Quiet raised hand, and if someone can pass out the participation cards, that would be super awesome too. Jessica's hand was first. Jessica gets her XP. What are the other 2 forms? Quiet raised hand. Yeah, look back through those notes. One lesson was 16-2. One was 16-4. One hand, Andres.
Vertex Form.
Yeah, so let's write these down. Vertex Form.
Yeah, Julian helped me too.
You did not get help from Julian. If you lie again, then I'm going to deduct HP.
Wait, but it's not lies. These are.
You looked at your binder. Julian did not touch your binder. Next time you lie, you're getting HP away. All right, Vertex Form, and then the other lesson was 16-2. Anyone else? All right, Andres again.
Factored form.
Factored form.
These expire on March 18th.
Oh, really? What?
Or May 18th.
March 18th.
So they're almost expired then.
March, okay.
You got a few days left. For the video, I pass out sodas that are gross. I didn't like it, at least. All right. So this is what factored form looks like. What is really nice? There's always something that's really nice about each form. For factored form, it was really nice because you could find the x-intercepts. For vertex form, it was really nice because you could find the vertex. Standard form is also nice for another reason. Standard form is nice because you can find the y-intercept. Where is it? Which one of these numbers is the y-intercept? Can anyone find it? Julian? Good guess. F of x is just like, this is the same thing as saying y equals. It's just another way of saying that. Good guess. You still get XP though, Julian, and I still get your card. Where's the y-intercept? Jessica.
3.
There it is. Everyone write it down. The y-intercept. The y-intercept is 3 because, and here's another chance to get XP, the y-intercept is where what is equal to 0? Jose? Yeah, the x equals 0 for the y-intercept. And look what happens. When the x is 0, 0 times 8, 0. 0. 0 times 16, 0, 0, 3. 3 is the y-intercept because these both cancel out. That's why it's so nice. The y-intercept is just 3. All right, so there are 3 steps to graphing whenever you have standard form. Whenever everything is just added, that's standard form. Here are the steps. First step, find the x-coordinate of the what? What do we always find when we're talking about parabolas? Quiet raised hand. In a parabola, it starts with a v. What do we always find on a parabola? Quiet raised hand. Cohen. There it is. Josie should have raised her hand. She had it. Cohen, good job. I have your card now. All right. And here's the formula. And this is kind of a hard, well, it's not that hard, but you'll have to remember this formula for the test, for the quiz, for anything. The formula is b divided by 2a. Wait a sec, Mr. Sindel, that is meaningless. B, A, what are you talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. B is this number right here. A is this number right here. Technically this number is C, but we don't need it in the formula. We skipped over some lessons to condense this unit. I would love to talk about where this number comes from. It comes from what's called the Quadratic Formula, and I would teach you guys the song that goes with Quadratic Formula, but again, we ran out of time this year. But yeah, so normally I have ax squared plus bx plus c. So you just take this second coefficient, not the x, just the number, just the coefficient. Divide it by 2 first. B divided by 2, so 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then divide 8 by that number. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So the x-coordinate would have been 1. You're going to have to do this in a sec, so make sure that you're on the same page. We just did step 1. Next is step 2. Find the y-coordinate of the quiet raised hand, if we found the x-coordinate of this thing, we're finding the y-coordinate of it now. Quiet raised hand. What am I talking about here? Gunner.
Parabola.
Ooh, take another guess. It's the same word as above.
Okay.
There it is. We found the x-coordinate. Now we're finding the y-coordinate of the same thing. Thank you, Gunner. I have your card now. I only have one card over here. What's going on? I should have lots of cards now. I have Julian's card. I should have Andres' card. I should have Jessica's card, Cohen's card. And again, this is very similar to doing factored form. In factored form, we had to find the vertex also. We find the x-coordinate of the vertex by finding the center of the x-intercepts. And then once we find the x-coordinate, just like the y-coordinate for here, we're going to plug in. Plug in. So if I got x equals 1, I plug in 1 to each of these x's. I have 1 squared is 1 times 8, which is 8. 1 times 16 is 16. You add all these up when you plug in that x-coordinate. And then finally, I need to find, well, what was that really nice thing that we were able to find? Quiet raised hand. What was the really nice thing that we could find from standard form? We wrote it down. It's on that first line. What's really nice about standard form, Jose? You have a 50-50 shot. It's X or Y.
Oh, X. Or Y.
There it is. Find the y-intercept. Because standard form is so nice, it gives us the y-intercept, just use it. I'm always going to be giving you an integer, a whole number for the y-intercept, and that whole number should be on that graph. So just use it. It's a really nice way to find that second point. The hard part is using this formula. Thank you, Jose. I now have, I think I already had your card. All right, we have 2 examples and we're done. 1 example, then 2 example. All right. So I need to sketch this graph. It's in standard form because all of these things are being added to each other. So what's step 1? Only one person knows. What's step 1? 2 people know. What's step 1, guys? We literally just wrote down step 1. Only 3 people out of a classroom of 12 know what step 1 is. Monse, find the x-coordinate. And what am I going to do? What's the b? What's the b? Is b this one, or this one? Is it 8, 16, or 3? So you're really close. 16 divided by something times 8. There it is. 2 times 8. All right, write it down. Monse is finding the x-coordinate of the vertex right now. The vertex is either that maximum or minimum. Because this leading coefficient right here is positive, it's going to be a opening up. If it was negative, it would be opening down. All right, I need someone else to simplify Monse's setup. I need to simplify 16 divided by 2 times 8. Monse, can I have your card too, please? Can someone help simplify this fraction now? Fernando?
1.
There it is. We just did this. Thank you, Monse. Slow and steady. The x-coordinate of the vertex is 1. That means on our graph, somewhere, either here, 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 somewhere along this line, x equals 1, we're going to have our vertex. We don't know what the height is, though. Where is the height of the vertex? So now we need to find the y of the vertex. And I totally forget, did I give Fernando his XP? I did not. So Fernando, there's your 50 XP. All right, how do I find the y-coordinate of the vertex? How do I find the height of the vertex? I see only 2 hands. Andres?
So you plug in x, which is 1, into the equation.
I plug in, yeah, that 1 into this x and this x. So I will, can you read that out for me? What should I be writing here? 8?
So it would be 8 plus,
Times, right?
times 1
1,
squared
good.
plus 16 times 1 squared. Or just 1, yeah, plus 3.
All right, there it is. Andres has set up how to find the y-coordinate of the vertex. All we're doing here is plugging in this number, and maybe I can even change the color of this one to be green to match with this one that I have written up here. This one right here got plugged into the formula. That's what I mean by plug in, or to substitute is the more formal word. All right, now I need someone else to simplify. Fernando?
8. Yeah, 8 plus 16 plus 3.
And I think I might have made a mistake on here, because this is a huge number. What's going on here? Oh, okay. I figured out what the mistake is, and this is my mistake. So the formula is actually negative b divided by 2a. Sorry about that. So everyone come back up here. Come back up to the x coordinate of the vertex. Change it to a negative b. Sorry about that. That now means that I have a negative 16. Monse's negative 16 divided by 2 times 8. All I'm doing is I'm adding a negative, which means that this 1 should be a what? Shout it out. Negative 1, exactly. So that means we're plugging in a negative 1 to each of these cases. So Fernando, which of these numbers needs to change? 16. It should now be a...
Would 8 have to... Oh, no, never.
Speak your thought out loud. Why do we not have to change the 8?
Because negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive.
Yeah, so negative 1 squared is a positive 1, which means that's still a positive 8. What about the 16 now?
Negative.
Negative 16. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. And then Fernando, can you do the next step as well? What is 8 minus 16 plus 3?
8 plus 11.
So 8 minus 16 should be a negative 8 plus 3 is a...
5.
Careful.
Negative 5.
Negative 5. All right. What this means is our y-coordinate is negative 5. So I'm going to graph this point. X is negative 1. Y is negative 5. Let's go find that point. X is negative 1, so somewhere on this line, now that I have the correct formula, and the height is negative 5. So I'm going to come down here to negative 5, and I'm going to make that my vertex. All right, now I need to find the really easy step 3. Step 3 is to do what, and where do I put that? Who can do step 3 for me? Jose? Yeah, what is the y-intercept? Look at the very, very first line in our notes. Our very, very first line right here.
Oh.
Yeah, 3. Our y-intercept is 0, 3. So if I come to on the y-axis, I come up to 3, and I make a point. Everyone make Jose's y-intercept at 3. All right. And last but not least, we know that we have an axis of symmetry. This axis of symmetry is right here, which means I have another point over here on the left-hand side. So I have another point over here at negative 2, 3. It's a very skinny parabola, and the reason for that is because we had such a big number right here. If we had a fraction right there, like 1/2, then it would be a really fat parabola. All right, once we have those 3 points, go ahead and make a sketch, because it's just a sketch for this problem. So the sketch is going to come down like this, and come back up like this with arrows going up to the top left and top right. Andres, question?
How'd you get negative 5? Wait, is it 8 minus 16 plus 3?
Yes.
Oh.
8 minus 16 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. All right, ask me questions now, because you're about to do example 2, which is slightly harder, but it's the same steps over and over again. Questions? As a teacher, I judge how well we know by the questions that you ask. Since there were no questions, give me a fist of 5. How well are you following the lesson? see, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4. All right, let's go on to example number 2. All right, I'm going to do step 1. What is step 1 and how do I do it? Jessica,
Find
the x-coordinate of the
vertex.
vertex, yeah. And how am I going to do that? What is the formula? Okay, which one is A and which one is B? Is this -3/2 A or B?
That's A.
That's A, we'll label it. And what about this -6?
B.
Yep. All right, so can you read off the formula once again while plugging in the numbers?
-6 over -3/2.
You're really, really close. What are you forgetting right here? In the formula. Go back to the formula. The formula is
Times 2.
times 2. So come back here, 2 times that. All right. So far we have this fraction. Thank you, Jessica. All right. This is where we're dealing with our fractions once again. So I think that we can all agree that 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. We can nod our heads that 2 is 2 over 1. Which means I'm going to deal with this denominator first, and then I'm going to have to keep it, change it, flip it. Because this -6 is also -6 over 1. All right, so I need to simplify this. My first step is going to be to, I'll leave that numerator as 6 over 1. And now the denominator. I need to multiply straight through and reduce the fraction. 2 times -3, then divide that by 2. Who has their answer? 2 times -3, then divide by 2. One person has an answer. 2 people, 3 people. Cohen. It is -3. Actually, then this works out really nicely. I don't even need to think of this as -6, or sorry, 6 over 1. It's just 6. 6 divided by -3. And Cohen, you want to do that last step? What is 6 divided by -3? There it is, -2. And I can kind of condense this. Let me rewrite this. So this is 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by, or sorry, -6 divided by 3. And as Cohen said, that is going to be -2. All right. So Jessica and Cohen found the x-coordinate of the vertex. What's next? Yeah.
Would the 3 also be a negative?
Oh, it should be a negative. Yeah, I think I probably just messed up in copying that down.
Teacher.
It is a teacher error. Yeah, do you have your extra credit logger? Or your extra credit tracker? No, that's good. So it should be a +2. Mr. Sandell's making tons of errors. Lots of XP today. All right, make sure that everyone has 2 for the x-coordinate of the vertex. Not -2, but +2. All right, next step. Monse. All right, can you write out what we're going to say here? So y, we'll change this f of x into a y. So y is equal to, perfect, yeah. Thank you, Monte. Monte set up this problem for finding the y-coordinate of the vertex. Now I need someone else to simplify. I see one hand. I need more hands. Just order of operations, doing some mental math. All right, Jose. So let's do this 2 squared first. 2 squared is 4. And then what's 4 divided by 2? 2. Okay, then 2 times the -3. So -6 here. And then this guy is going to be -12. And that simplifies to what? is negative 18. Did that mean that we did something wrong?
Yes.
What did we do wrong? All right, there's some mistake because negative 18 obviously is not on the graph. This is wrong for some reason. Who can find the error? Oh, I see it now. Andres, go for it.
Um,
Jose?
Like when you were trying, you're 3 and 2, the 100, like the 2.
This one right here.
No, I think
Can you get up and point maybe? No, that's not quite it. A good guess. You want to try again, Andres?
wouldn't the 2 be negative 2?
It should be a negative 2, but why?
Because
And I will narrow down everyone's scope so other people can find the XP as well. It happens somewhere right there. Who can find the error? Andres, you're still on deck if you want to go first. Ooh, Fernando sees it now. Look at the formula, compare it to what we did. All right, Fernando.
would you change the sign?
Yeah, why do you change the sign?
Because the formula is negative, so you flip it.
All right. Yeah, you're close. Okay, so our form. You want to be more concise, Jose?
it's negative b, right? And negative 6, so we change to positive 6.
Exactly. Yeah. So our formula says that this needs to be a negative b. Well, b is negative 6. So my formula needs to say negative 6. Negative b. b is negative 6. So negative 6 should be the top here. So let's come back and change this to a negative, or you can just go like this and add this to a positive, which now makes this a negative. Sorry for all the mistakes. So that means that this x coordinate is a negative 2. So make sure that everyone has this negative 2 right here. If that's a negative 2, that negative 2 now needs to be changed down here as well because we plugged in a negative 2 here and down here. These are all negatives. Everyone is changing their work, writing this down. If these are negatives, then this sign doesn't change. A negative 2 squared is still a positive 4. A negative 6 times a negative 2 now is a positive 12. Not plus or minus, but a positive 12, which means 12 minus 6 is a positive 6. All right. Again, going through every single change that we just made so that everyone can follow. We change this to a positive 6. We change this to a negative 2. I guess this should be a positive 6 also, but a negative 2. Negative 2 got plugged in here and here. Negative 2 squared is still a positive, so positive times a negative is still negative. That was okay. But now a negative times a negative is now a positive, so this is negative 6 plus 12. We're all okay? We updated our notes? All right, let's graph this. Negative 2 comma 6. Negative 2 comma 6 is right here. All right, quiet raised hand. What did we just find? What is this thing that I just graphed? Quiet raised hand. What is this? Take a step back. See the bigger picture. What did I just find? Cohen. Yeah, that's the vertex. That's either going to be the topmost point or the bottommost point. Thank you, Cohen. And then we're almost done. We have a slightly hard step. Again, that finding the y-intercept should be pretty straightforward, but it's tricky here because the y-intercept is usually the number that's being added. The problem here is there is no number being added here. So if there's no number being added there, what is that number?
0.
0. So everyone write this down also. This is really saying plus 0. Which means, with a quiet raised hand, where do I graph my y-intercept? Gunnar.
At 0.
At 0, yeah. There's my y-intercept. It's at the origin. Where on this y-axis do I graph it? At 0. That's the question that we just answered. Okay, this is going to be also a little bit different from last time, but if this, that's a bad line, if this is my axis of symmetry, that means I have another point, not here at -3, but here at 4, because I'm 2 away from this axis of symmetry. So that means I have a point here at -4. And then do your best attempt to sketch this graph. And that's it. Example 2 was the hardest question because there were a lot of tricky things. There were double negatives. There was no y-intercept, so it's actually 0. Number 2 is the hardest type of question I can ever ask on a test or on a quiz, and I probably won't even make it that hard. But you do need to know example 2 for the homework tonight. Are there any questions before we end the lesson? All right, go ahead and write your summaries.